Okay, welcome back to Module 4, Growth Secrets for YouTube. Your video is done and now it's time to load your video and start getting views. Now, I got a bunch of secrets for you on how to grow that YouTube, and we want to make sure that we don't commit any of the deadly sins. So the first thing I can talk about is the biggest one on YouTube. When you go to upload your video, do not make it public right away. We want to marinate your video for at least 24 hours. So what do I mean by that? What I mean is load your video up, but keep it in the unlisted phase. Okay, so don't make it public. The biggest mistake I used to make as a beginner, and I've seen a lot of people do this, is I used to load up my video and then make it public right away, and then nothing was ready. My thumbnail wasn't ready, my title wasn't ready, my description wasn't ready, or all my tags down here weren't ready. And the reason that's such a big deal is because if you start playing around with your video after it's public, if you start changing the title, changing the thumbnail, changing the description, that resets your video every time. YouTube treats it as a new video every time you make a change. So the whole process has to start over. So we want to make sure everything's perfect before we hit that public button. So what I recommend is uploading your video, keep it unlisted, and we're going to get the title correct. We're going to make sure your description's right. We're going to make sure all the settings are correct. I'll go over that in a second with you. Once everything's ready, we let your video sit overnight for 24 hours, even 2 days, so that the algorithm can recognize your video, process your video, transcribe your video in different languages, because now it does major languages. If you see here, though, what it does is it's gone and published all these major languages. So there's a lot of things happening in the background with your video, and we want to give it time. So if you post too early, your video won't be ready, and you don't get a great result. So we want to give a chance for YouTube to really dial in, for the algorithm to recognize everything you say in the video, categorize it, SEO it, all that good stuff. Okay? Now let's go through the things that you want to have in your video before you go public. Now these things are critical. They're just as important, if not more important, than the video itself. Okay? The title. We want to make sure that we have a really good title. We want to make sure that it has your keywords in there. And if you did the previous modules, then you probably have a good idea already what your title is. So the most important parts of your video are the title and the first 2 sentences in your description. YouTube is going to use these words as metadata. It's going to help categorize what your video is about, and it's going to use that information to figure out who to show your video to. So it's very important that you have this dialed in. So for example, with this video, I wanted to make sure that Peru and travel is near the beginning of the title. I also wanted to make sure that Peru and travel is at the top of the description. I also want to make sure that it's also at the top of my tags. Down here at the bottom, I have Peru and travel is there as well. Now those 2 terms have very high search volume, and I know this because vidIQ told me. Remember we talked about vidIQ earlier? So let's bring up that tool just to give you a better idea of what I'm talking about. For example, in my niche, travel, when I do a search for travel, it has a very high search volume. If I spelt it right, it would. Let's try that again. There it is. Okay, so I want to make sure that that is in my search terms. And remember that spreadsheet we made with all the high search terms? Well, that's where that comes in handy now. So I already know that I wanted to make, I wanted to have those tags in there. I also wanted to have Peru in there because it's a high search term, okay? Now that's the first thing. So use a vidIQ to make sure you have your keywords in there that are related to the video. And you also want to make sure that you have a fantastic thumbnail. That leads me to the next thing.